To another episode of the AAU Overtime Podcast. As always, Jordan DeLuciano here, and joining me now is the Commissioner of the UNYCHL, Jon Marchese. Thanks for joining the pod, and welcome back to the pod.
Always a pleasure, Jordan. Thank you for having me.
No problem, John. So let's get right into it. Big weekend for the UNYCHL this week. Upcoming AAU Division I showcase being hosted by Niagara. A lot of big names. What's going on with the teams, the matchups? Big weekend ahead to kick off the year.
Well, we've got our D1 West with Niagara University, St. Bonaventure, and University of Buffalo, and the Empire is sending Fairfield, Quinnipiac, and Delaware for I'd say three pretty big games, big showdown. Credit to Sean and the team at Niagara for setting it up. Can't wait to see it happen.
A lot of big matchups coming up this weekend, and then it will be reversed. I believe there will be a tournament or a showcase coming in the end of October, early November, when you guys upstate will be coming down to the Empire to play some teams from there. I know seeing Binghamton's got two matchups against Farmingdale.
Yeah, Binghamton does. I believe Cortland does too, that they're coming down to play Farmingdale. I think Farmingdale is going to Cornell for a couple games. Farmingdale is also coming up to Western New York later on too. They had a little let's say a little bump in their schedule early on. Farmingdale, congratulations, Joe. But he's got a little extra thing to play for this year, so I'm happy for him.
Yeah, so big weekend, like we said. How do you you get an eye watching these matchups? You get an eye watching them, not just in the regular season, but as well as you see them at nationals. Empire and UNYCHL, they always seem to go at it with a lot of intensity, whether it's in September, October, or game at nationals. There's always a lot at stake.
Always. Well, it's good programs. They're all well run. They're all talented. It's just what you want. You want a battlefield. So it's what it's going to be this weekend. It's going to be throughout the year. That's exactly what we want to see.
You touched on a little bit before about the D1 East and West. What's going on? You got a new Division I, limited teams, but then you expanded. Upstate New York's got D1 and a big D2, and as well as D3 as well.
Yeah, we keep things geographically based, so we kind of have like a hybrid D2, D3. I even have a couple that are D2 teams playing with our D1s. Again, it just keeps the travel down. It's a big drop off after my top six. It's obvious. The teams they'll admit it. And so you need that. You need that separation because it just can't happen. And I see the Empire's doing the same thing now too, which is great. You want to give these other guys an opportunity to play for something rather than signing up for, hey, let's battle for fourth place this year.
Yep. All the D1 pro conferences, Empire, Upstate with you guys, and then South. It's the limited teams to give that gap. Instead of having, let's say, 12 teams in D1, you limit it to 6 because the other 6, they might not be. They're all right, but they're not there yet. Is there any programs you see in your conference, maybe not immediately in next season, but down the line could make that bump from 2 to 1 or from 3 to 2?
Well, the 3 to 2 could fluctuate right now. We've got teams that could play at either one level for 3 and 2. That's not a concern. 1, I don't know. And I think a part of it is just of how good the top 6 that we have are. It's not necessarily a shot at, those guys. We had plenty of other teams like Fredonia, Alfred State. We had others that went to nationals, but they're just not there yet, and they'll tell you that themselves. They're not going to come up here just to get blasted. And, I won't do that to them, for a filler. Like we moved St. John Fisher and Buffalo State, who are D2 teams, and they're playing a hybrid. So they're playing in my D1 and my D2 divisions. They're probably not going to be competitive at the D1 level, and they know that, but they're going to contend at the D2 level. So, so it's not a wasted season when you're doing something like that. And those two have the budgets to do it. And so why not? Let it make it work.
We saw that, I believe, not Bonnie's kicking off. Binghamton, I think, played St. John Fisher already, right?
Yeah, they played them this past week. They actually played Cortland the day before. Mm-hmm. So they've got a couple. It's interesting, Jordan, with this weekend because Fairfield hasn't played yet. Bonaventure hasn't played yet. Niagara had one game in. Quinnipiac had one. Good game in Babson. So there's not really a whole lot. These guys don't have like 4 or 5 games under their belt. So hopefully these guys aren't going to be rusty to start. So.
Yeah, it's a tall task to ask these guys, going like, let's say the Bonaventure, right off the bat, they got Delaware, Quinnipiac, and Fairfield. And as you mentioned, like Fairfield hasn't played yet, Bonnies haven't played yet. So right off the bat, they're being thrown to the Wolves, and it's immediate competition. First game, first weekend.
I wouldn't have scheduled like that personally, but hey, these guys, that's what they want. They want that. They want the respect. I mean, so no other way of doing it than just going out there and playing the best and beating the best.
So not only have you got D1, D2, and D3, and for Upstate Conference, you have the new women's division as well, joining alongside with the CHS, which I had last week. Casey Garrish talking about that a little bit. But what's going on with the Upstate Women's Conference this year?
So that is solely Casey's. I mean, that's Casey's project with us. I mean, it's no disrespect to them. I'd love to do it, but I mean, I've already got an assistant commissioner running my D2 and D3s. I mean, I've got
it's a lot going on.
It's so much, So I mean, Casey has all the resources he needs from us to make it work. I know he's talking to several other programs on expanding it, and I know he's going to do a great job. So I mean, but I can't take any credit or anything for that. I mean, I did talk to a couple people. We had a couple interested candidates, and it just didn't pan out. Casey stepped up, and it's his show now.
So now coming in this year, the reigning AAU national champions, which tomorrow's episode of the podcast, I will be having their captain and defenseman, Jack O'Brien, Binghamton University. So that's right out of your conference. How's it feel your conference represented not just in a second place finish 2 years ago, but this past season winning it, same team, Binghamton?
You know what I think that does, Jordan? That makes Bonaventure and Niagara even more hungry.
Niagara was right there last year. I believe they were semifinal, got knocked out by Fairfield.
They lost to Fairfield, and I guarantee Sean and company hasn't forgotten that, and they're going to meet this weekend again. So, but I mean, that's just it. We're loaded at the top. I mean, it's great. Any one of those 6 teams, I feel good about. So, I mean, Binghamton's been the guy so far. I mean, could they make it back for a third round? You're damn right they could. But these other guys are hungry, and they're just chomping at the bit to get their opportunity.
Do you know, would you know, or maybe I got to go right to direct to source, these top teams, like we mentioned, Binghamton, Bonaventure, Niagara, just to name a few, have they gotten a good returning class from last year, or did they lose some seniors and have to rely on recruiting to stay at the top?
I mean, they've lost, but I don't think anyone's really dramatically changed. I mean, for the better or the worse, they're still going to be, what they are. I haven't heard anything drastic, but I mean, I know Bonaventure created a second team, so their numbers just keep going up, which is awesome. But these guys, they're still going to be where they were. I mean, I don't expect a drop, but at the same time, I don't know. I wouldn't say any drastic changes.
Any matchup you're looking forward to in particular this weekend for the opening weekend?
Well, I think I alluded to it earlier. I think it's got to be the Niagara Fairfield rematch. I mean, that's your semifinal game, I mean, and that was a war, and I hate saying it, but I got to tip my hat to Johnny there. I mean, the Empire finally exercised some demons with that win. So, I mean, I know Binghamton took the prize, but, it was one of those things where, they got us, and we're going to see what happens this weekend.
It has been the Upstate Conference the past couple of years that has been running it. I mean, Bonnie's made a good run 2 years ago, but then Bonnie's last year, the number one team succumbed to the same fate that the number one team 2 years ago in Tampa did. First out in the third game of pool play. How do you expect Bonaventure to respond this year? Pretty much same group and making another push to the top.
He's hungry. I mean, that's what it comes down to. It's all Binghamton. It's Binghamton. It's Binghamton this, Binghamton, and obviously they deserve it. But Bonaventure's damn good, and so is Niagara. These guys want this, and that's. Man, I mean, think about that D1 tournament. I mean, you talk about a gauntlet, you talk about a war. I mean, that's 16 just, whoever comes out of that's going to earn it. There's no doubt about it.
It's like maybe in the past couple of years with the amount of teams that make it, you could have an easy game, maybe too easy, not easy, but like in terms of record and standings wise, it might be a little lopsided. This year for D1, you go to the national championship, you go in pool play. There's not an easy game on the schedule. So what a way to kind of prep you for that, John, by opening this weekend the way the upstate is.
Yes, and they know that. I mean, again, these guys are veterans. They know the game. They know, and it's the Empire teams too. These guys know how it works. They know, like I said, I wouldn't schedule 3 games like that in a row, but these guys know that you're going to have to win 4 or 5 in a row of those, when it counts. So, why not get started with it now?
We talked a little bit about D1, D2, D3. Any programs to keep an eye on throughout this year?
I mean, you don't know. I mean, there's some teams. I mean, Brockport looked pretty good in that Lake Placid thing. So I mean, they had a down year. So hopefully, they return. I mean, Fredonia, Alfred State's a pretty good program. I mean, they got completely shut out this past weekend.
Yes,
playing those 2 powerhouses. But I mean, there's no shame in that. But like you said, let's not sell. Sorry, my son.
Yeah. Real life gets in the way. It's all right. It's all right.
Yes. So,
yeah, but no, Alfred State. It was against one of, like you said, the powerhouses in the upstate league. A blanket on which one it was. It was not ideal finish for Alfred State, but still, there is Alfred State D2, D3. Where are they sitting right now?
They're D2 team.
Okay. So not there yet. Not there yet for D1.
No, they're not there. They're not there. Fredonia's not there. I mean, again, those 2 teams went. Like I said, they're respected programs. I mean, they'll do well at D2.
Yeah.
St. John Fisher obviously winning the D3 thing. They're playing in D2 now. They're decent. So again, we've got decent enough teams. So my son's saying hi to everybody.
Yeah, it's the little one singing a song, saying hi as well. But I guess I'll let you go so you can sing along and with the little one over there. Thanks for joining again, John. Appreciate talking to you as always, and I'll talk to you throughout the rest of the season. All right.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, buddy. Thank you.
No problem, John. Again, Jordan DeLuciano for the AAU Overtime Podcast. Tune in tomorrow. Jack O'Brien from the reigning champions, Binghamton University. We'll see you then.